Thank you all. I want to join Chris in just celebrating how many people have come here today and tomorrow and Tuesday. And Tuesday is really what we're building up for, is to let our members of Congress know how strongly we feel about the importance of the United Nations. Much of today is going to be about our chapter building, our membership growth, and how we can reach out to even more people with our messages. And tomorrow is all about the issues that we're going to be dealing with when we talk to Congress the next day. But I want to get back to us, to this room. How many of you, if you could just raise your hand, are here for the first time? That is amazing. And from where I stand and at my age, I'm not going to get ageist on us, but how many of you are under the age of 25? Raise your hand. Because you are the future of the UNA. And as an education and advocacy organization, there really couldn't be a better place for us to be having this meeting than here at the National Education Association with, 3.5 million members. And actually, this, for me, is like coming home. I once had an office up on the 8th floor. And before they did the renovations, I ran a peace and security organization up there. Donated space from the NEA. They have a long tradition of being generous and supportive of the important issues in this country as they educate tomorrow's leaders. So I live here in the colony of Washington, D.C., and welcome all of you from states. And that there are 30 states represented here is pretty amazing. So we're really glad that you'll get a chance to see your nation's capital and spend some time at the Capitol on Tuesday. But I really would like to, at this point, introduce Daaiyah Bilal-Threats, who is from the National Education Association, and she, I don't know, maybe she comes in every Sunday, but I really appreciate that she came in today to welcome us to her office. And she is the current special assistant to the executive director and senior advisor for strategic initiatives. And so she's heard about us is kind of like a strategic initiative in some respects. And she joined NEA in 2000 and has moved through various responsibilities. She currently serves NEA as a cabinet-level advisor on policy issues, as well as organizational strategy and priority initiatives. And she currently oversees NEA's donor, philanthropic, and international relations work. And some of you who were here last year, maybe only a minority of the people in the room, met Jill Christensen, who we have worked very closely with, and she's with the International Relations Department, and she'll be with us tomorrow. In her prior role at NEA, Daaiyah was responsible for directing NEA's International Relations Division, the one that Jill is now involved with. And she, which advocates for every child deserves a quality public education to help them succeed in a diverse and interdependent world. And so that's very close to our own message of support for a diverse and interdependent world. And with no further ado, Daaiyah, thank you for everything that NEA has done for us.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And thank you, Chris and Karen, for being such good friends to NEA all these years. As Karen said, I'm responsible for NEA's international relations and our international presence, among many other things. And I'm so pleased to host you here at NEA. And as I look at this audience, the diversity of it, the range of age and background, and from what I know of your membership, I'm so pleased to see that UNA is attracting such a broad and diverse set of leaders and future leaders. It's the kind of pipeline that we're going to need to make the kind of change that we want to see in the world at the local chapter level, at the regional level, at the federal level, and certainly globally. And like you, we at NEA feel that U.S. engagement of the UN is just critical. It's critical, and that, by the way, includes the U.S.'s full funding of UNESCO. Happy to lobby with you on that if you haven't already began, and if you're not doing it this week. So, I understand you're celebrating your 70th anniversary, and it couldn't come at a timelier moment. Certainly for us at NEA, we're so pleased to be celebrating this milestone with you at a time where we ourselves are very deeply engaged in the UN. As Chris mentioned, around the Sustainable Development Goals in particular, from our perspective, as you can imagine, a group that convenes and represents 3 million educators, teachers, and support professionals throughout the U.S., quality education is our number one priority. It always will be, and we believe it should be a global priority as well. And it's for that reason we established decades ago a group called Education International, which represents counterpart groups like ours in about 400 countries all over the globe to ensure that education remains a global priority. When Chris was talking about the refugee crisis, you can imagine that schools end up being the safe harbors for a lot of these folks in a lot of these countries. So schools play such a critical role in every country. And we've been working diligently through EI, that Education International, to ensure that the voice of educators and children and the disenfranchised have a voice in the development of the post-2015 Sustainable Development Goals, which will be considered by the UN this fall at the summit, and by UNESCO and others following that to take into consideration those summit debates. Just a couple of weeks ago, in fact, we were engaged in the World Education Forum in Seoul, Korea. We sent representatives there, education experts and researchers, to be engaged in those conversations as they develop the goals going forward to ensure education for all by 2030. And so with the confluence of so many important education policy conversations, the confluence of so many issues like the ones that Chris mentioned, this is just such an exciting time for us and for you all to be engaged with the UN and to encourage others to be engaged in the UN so we can begin to see some of the change we want to see in the world. And your conference agenda, as I looked through it, again, not only the pipeline of diversity and leadership that I see in this room, but your agenda included so many of the advocacy skills and knowledge that all of us need to move the kinds of policies, the kind of agendas that we want to see taking shape, certainly nationally, but throughout the globe. And so I just want to say thank you for being here. We're proud to host you, and we will forever be your partner and ally in the fight for quality and accessible public education.